Hi, I'm Jo Howarth from the Happiness Club and welcome to another one of my World of Happiness interviews. Today I'm ridiculously excited because I have the wonderful Jo Rubino from the Centre for Personal Reinvention, all the way from the US of A, across that enormous pond. Hi, Jo.
Hi, Jo. It's nice to be with you today.
Good to be with you. Good name, by the way.
Likewise.
Yes, very good. So, first question, very simply, what do you do?
Well, we support people to live their best lives. And that's a very broad statement that a lot of different components go into. My main specialty is self-esteem elevation, where we champion children and adults to feel good about themselves and to feel competent and capable, to feel worthy, to look upon others as the more they contribute to them, the more they get back in return. So it's not an ego thing, it's a contribution thing, and it's a mutuality where the more we're of service to others, creating value in the world, the more value we get back. And so wherever people are in their lives, we support them to create warmer, more loving relationships, greater prosperity, more happiness and fulfillment in their work and in their play, and basically to live lives without regret.
That is so cool. I love that. I love that you work with children on self-esteem too. One of the strands of my business is to go into schools and teach kids mindfulness techniques largely to help them manage difficult emotions. So I love that you don't just focus on the grown-ups. Go on.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's actually something that we do as well. We support both children and adults to manage their emotional reactiveness, which is a big component of self-esteem. Because when people are reacting emotionally, when they're at the effect of their moods, be it anger or sadness or fear, then they're not in control of how they're landing in the world, how they're coming across to others, and they're not responding deliberately in a way that supports them, that enhances their personal effectiveness and their charisma. So emotional reactivity is a big one that we'll talk a little bit more about as we go on here.
Yeah, and I think that's key, isn't it, to teach, especially for children, because I mean I come across adults all the time who don't realize that they're responsible for themselves and that they have the ability to be in control of their thoughts and their feelings and their behaviors. So I think that's huge for children to learn, especially, isn't it? That actually there's something I can do in this situation that I might not want to be in. There's something I can do to make myself feel better about it.
Well, it makes kids feel as though they're 10 feet tall and bulletproof when they realize that they're not at the effect of what other people's stuff is.
Yeah.
They don't have to be at the effect of bullying, at the effect of bad behavior, at the effect of people's anger or sadness or fear or judgment. They can actually recognize that the upsets are over there when they happen. 99% of an upset is about the other person, the person who's upset, and only 1% about you. So that gives kids and adults great personal freedom in recognizing that we always have the ability to be in control of our emotions and our responses to others in life. And not only does that make us more personally effective, but it's very calming, it's very peaceful, and it allows us to really be in charge of how we land with others, and to not constantly be this ping pong ball that's being tossed around at the effect of other people's whims and bad behavior or decisions.
Yeah, brilliant. Love it. So can you give us a bit more of an idea of why? Why do you do it? Why do you do what you do? Why did you start the centre? Where did it come from?
Well, the research that I've done over the last 26 years has pointed me in the direction that more than 85% of the people on our planet suffer from self-esteem issues in one or more of the 6 key areas of life. So whether that's their health and appearance, their wealth or finances, their career or their job, their occupation, their relationships being strained or not very fulfilling, the area of personal and spiritual development, and the area of having fun and recreating, pursuing their passions. So if you're not a 10 on a scale from 1 to 10 in all 6 of those areas, it's most likely because you have a thought about yourself as not being able to have it all in that respect. So some people have situational self-esteem issues where, for example, maybe you're not very good socially, but you're very good at math or at school, or just the opposite could be true. Or some people have more pervasive self-esteem issues where they don't feel good about themselves. They don't feel like they're capable or competent or worthy, or they belong, they're lovable. They feel that they're significantly flawed in one or more ways. So what we do is we show people that they made it up or they bought into someone else's negativity early on in life, as we all have. My own personal experience started at the age of 5 when I was bullied by in the schoolyard by some teenagers. And they tossed me around and I hit my head on concrete and went home with a concussion at 5 years old. And I made up that people were mean and cruel and that I was weak and couldn't take care of myself and that the world was a dangerous place. And so I became an extreme introvert. I protected myself from people by avoiding them. And I became a dentist because people couldn't talk back to me. And all of the decisions in my life were based upon this early decision that I made at 5 years old that people were dangerous. And so it wasn't until I entered into personal development at the age of 35 that I realized that I made up a lot of this stuff and I bought into a lot of negativity from others. And importantly, we all have the ability to shift out of these interpretations that don't support us. We can actually create interpretations that empower us. We can decide to live from a declaration of the person that we want to be known for rather than however we think the default landed with us. In other words, we think that we're flawed, we're unlovable, we're not good enough, we're somehow defective in so many areas. And that's the lie. Because when we realize that life is a process, and when we get clarity around managing our commitments, we can now make intelligent choices and decisions that guide us in life that align with those commitments and honor our values and speak to the qualities that we want to be known for. So we can live deliberately as opposed to living at the effect of whatever it is that we made up about ourselves and others in the world, which is how most people are living their lives.
That's ace. I love that you use the word decide in there, because for me that's one of the things that I get questioned about. And actually when I'm talking to the members of my happiness club, I talk to them about happiness, because that's obviously my thing, being a decision. And it's not just a choice, it's a decision, and it's a decision that you can make every day. And again, I think for a lot of people that's a total revelation, isn't it, that they can decide to be a certain way.
It's a total revelation, and especially when the opposite is true, when people are addicted to sadness. Yeah. You know, people feel as though, if you look at people who are depressed in the world, 350 million people are estimated to be depressed. And what is depression? Depression is a habit that is formed where people scan for and find things to be sad about. So it's so easy to create disempowering interpretations that make us sad. And we become victims. We become at the effect of what other people say and do. And we think that, you know, it's a disease that we have, this depression, this sadness is unavoidable. We were given a bad deck of a bad hand with respect to what life has given to us. We don't realize that we make choices moment by moment. We attract people that are consistent with our energy. And so if we want to be happy, we need to give off happy energy. We need to contribute to other people. We need to have positive expectations. We need to see our success and our happiness as inevitable. So we're self-motivated to do the things that align with that success and happiness, as opposed to being, you know, on the pity pot, having this poor me attitude, and then wondering why the world won't bow to give us what we want, when we've actually manifested the exact reality that surrounds us. So wherever we are in life is exactly consistent with what we've manifested. And if we're unhappy, if we don't like it, if we're unfulfilled, if we're poor or not abundant, it's because we've made decisions about ourselves and others and about the world in general that do not support us. So the good news is that we can flip that light switch. We can start to recognize when we're making up things that don't support us. We can create new empowered interpretations that do, and that's what I mean by living deliberately. And it's a muscle that needs to be developed. And it's so exciting when we develop that muscle, because the sadness or the fear or the anger. Let's talk a little bit about that for a minute, if I could. As I said, a lot of people are addicted to sadness, but even more people are addicted to anger. If you look at the state of the world today, it's full of angry people. Why is that? It's because anger allows people to dominate others and avoid being dominated. It allows people to be right about something, and people will do anything to be right. It allows them to be forceful in the moment and get people to do their will. And all of that is why we keep it in place. But most people are totally unaware of what it's costing us in terms of our relationships, our happiness, our peace of mind, our fulfillment, our ability to live a life that is meaningful. The third type of predominant emotional reactive mood, besides anger and sadness, is fear. People, it's been estimated that 24% of women and 16% of men are addicted to fear. Again, these are victims, just like the sad people. It puts them on edge. They live on the edge, whether that's losing their job, not having enough money to support themselves and their families, whether it's living in a war zone or in an area where there's always some sort of calamities happening, like fires or earthquakes or tsunamis or whatever, or it's just about constantly living in that fearful state where we marry the person that makes us afraid, or we create a job where we're on the edge all the time. Why? We don't like being afraid, but it allows us to justify not being responsible for making our life work in a way where we have a reserve, where things work calmly and we expect great things to happen. Because we can say, it wasn't my fault, I was afraid, I was paralyzed. And so one of the exercises I'd like our viewers to take on today is to identify what mood, what predominant emotional reactive state actually runs your life. Is it a form of anger, sadness, or fear, or something else? And when you identify what that is, you now can start to recognize as a big red flag whenever you're in that mode, whenever someone says or does something that makes you angry, or makes you sad, or makes you afraid. You'll realize that no one can make you anything. You make yourself that way, but you've been using this as a justification for survival, for getting others before they get you, be it with anger or retreating in sadness, or being on the edge and not taking responsibility with fear. And so when you can recognize that in the moment of an upset, in the moment when the heat is on, you can ask yourself, what did I make up about myself and about the other person, or about the world, that has me in my mood, in my anger, in my sadness, or in my fear? And am I willing to give it up in this moment? Because it's so juicy to be in that mood. If you're willing to give it up, then you can release it. You can take some deep breaths and count backward from 5 to 4 to 3 to 2 to 1. You can create a new interpretation that has no emotional reactive state associated with it. So if someone yells at you, you can make something up, an interpretation about them that has nothing to do with you. Maybe they're having a bad day. Maybe they're angry at someone else. Or maybe, they're looking to get something off their chest that if it has any validity, then it's a contribution to you. And if it doesn't, then like a jacket, you can try it on and decide not to wear it if it's not something that supports you. So when we have the ability to let go of the attachments to other people's emotions, we can ourselves become emotionally free. And that is when the happiness can flow.
Definitely. And I love that question. I love just taking a moment to ask yourself, which of those, what am I doing? Am I fear? Am I anger? Am I sadness? That's such a simple, and that's what I love about a lot of this stuff is that it's not rocket science, is it? It's simple questions like that that just make your brain go, oh yeah, hang on a minute, I'm being fearful about this because that, right, I don't have to be. I love that. That's such a brilliant technique. Thank you for sharing that.
Wow.
And again, I think you've hit on the absolute key there with the word responsibility, because I think, and I definitely find this in the work that I do, is that people confuse responsibility with blame. And they think that if you're talking to them about taking responsibility for their own thoughts and feelings and actions and all of that, that actually you're saying to them, well, it's your fault. It's, you know, you need to blame yourself for this situation. And it's not about that at all, is it? It's a completely different thing.
Yeah, it's about the ability to respond. Responsibility has nothing to do with blame or fault. It's a place to come from, not a place to hold yourself in account as blame or unworthiness. So when you can hold it differently and you can look upon every challenge, every problem as a gift to you, not like it's your fault, but as an opportunity for you to learn something, to grow, to contribute more of who you are, to evolve, to be more effective with other people. All of that is a gift to you. And the more you accept it as a gift, the more you become 10 feet tall and bulletproof, because no one can press your buttons or pull your strings any longer, because you're no longer at the effect of other people's bad behavior. Doesn't mean you condone their bad behavior, but it means that you don't have to be sucked into that vortex. You don't have to be allow other people to permit you to lose it. And that is so freeing when you can realize that you're responsible for your own happiness. You're responsible for your own prosperity. You're responsible for everything that you say and do, and no one can make you do something that is contrary to that. Then you'll realize that it gets back to realizing what you're committed to. It's like going down a fork in the road and there's a Y in the fork where there's two paths, and you've gone by the path of blame and fault. You've gone down the path where you where you're emotionally reactive, where you don't take responsibility for your words or your deeds. You just make up things to justify them. You have the ability at where the fork meets, where you could take the other path, the path of heart, the path that is with emotional responsibility, where you actually manage your interpretations, where you contribute your gifts to other people, where you give people the benefit of the doubt by having empathy for what it's like in their lives, where you forgive them for making mistakes and you forgive yourself for making mistakes, and where you live gratefully with gratitude that says, everything that comes across my path is a gift to me, and I get to discover what that gift is. So you're in the inquiry around how is this blessing my life? And when you look for blessings, more blessings come your way. So it's a very exciting position to come from when you're always responsible, in the sense that you know that it's all good and it's all there for your development.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I could talk to you for hours. Okay, so what gives you personally the biggest buzz in your work, but also in life? What do you get the biggest buzz from?
From changing lives. Just as my life was changed when I realized that I went from this resigned introvert who was basically dead, very apathetic to life. The few friends that I had constantly told me I couldn't lead 3 people in silent prayer. I was in a profession that didn't serve me. I wasn't passionate about it. To go from something that I love doing because I realized the truth, and that everybody has their own truth. And when you tell the truth, it frees you up. So most of us live a lie, and that lie is based in resignation. It's based in interpretations that don't support us. And what serves me and gives me most passion is to see people flip that light switch, to realize that they are in control of their lives. No one needs to be poor. No one needs to have broken relationships. No one needs to be mired in anger or sadness or fear or resignation. No one needs to be at the effect of what other people say and do. And when people realize that we all are so extraordinary in our own ways, We don't need to look for others to give us things. We have the ability to contribute to them. And the more we contribute to them, the more we'll get back. And that's what abundance creation is all about. It's about creating value for other people. So it's such an empowered place to be. And when we can get to kids early on in life, then we don't have to have them reinterpret all the bad things they made up about themselves and others in the world. We can champion them to make up good things from the start and to live this life of possibilities. And it's so exciting when you see a child get this early on and impact others because they realize that they can. And it's the same with adults, but with adults, a lot of it involves unlearning the things that have created the self-sabotage. Yeah. So with children, the earlier you can get to them, the more potential they have to just soar, just as everyone does.
Absolutely. And I mean, I talk to people. I have a vision of an entire generation of children growing up with this stuff kind of inbuilt in them, where yes. They're not even aware, it's just second nature to them. Yep. That just, the idea of a world like that just gives me shivers. I think it'd be amazing, amazing, brilliant. So I know this is probably impossible, but if you could give us one top tip for a happy life, what would it be?
Well, I'm going to give you kind of the umbrella from which to see the world.
Okay.
And I'm going to do this in a broad stroke, but most people are in the mud. They're in the muck. They lose sight of the big vision. So here's the vision. It starts with recognizing what your life purpose is. Your life purpose is something that makes you unique, that you love doing. Most people aren't living their life purpose. We all have one, but most people are resigned thinking that, well, I just need to survive in this world. So they give up their ability to go for the brass ring, to live large. When you realize what your life purpose is, you also know what your most important values are, the values that demand to be honored. The values form the threads of who we are at our soul. And when those threads are pulled, when our values are just honored, life doesn't work. We become angry, we shut down, we become emotionally non-responsive or reactive. And so when we're living our life purpose, when we're honoring our most important values, we now can create a vision for what every area of our life can look like, the qualities we want to be known for, living deliberately, the things that we'll do during our days at work and at play, the things that we'll have around us in our lives when we're being and doing those things that we love to do, the things that we'll surround ourselves with, abundance and toys and family and friends and fun and travel and pets and beauty and whatever it is that honors your values. And when you create a vision that's so detailed, it involves every one of those 6 key areas of life that I mentioned earlier. And it involves being, doing, having, and contributing. Any vision that doesn't include contributing to others is self-serving, and it won't inspire anyone. So when you can get clarity around what your vision is, that would make your life so exciting, and you get to live that vision by manifesting it on purpose. You get to set goals, long-term goals, medium-range goals, short-term goals that all align with that vision, that all feed your life purpose, that all honor your values. And then you take actions daily, weekly, monthly to make the goals happen on purpose. While, and this is the important part, having a personal development plan, because anytime you set goals, anytime you have a vision, challenges are going to get in your way, because you need the challenges to break through them, to learn, to grow, to become more of the person you were designed to become. When you can establish that personal development plan in harmony with your actions become so powerful, because you're now learning as you're acting, you're measuring, you're adjusting, you're tweaking things in the sort of way that you're constantly letting the world train you. Everyone that you meet is there for your development, especially the most difficult people. And when you look at life that way as a great adventure, and it's there to nourish you moment by moment, you wake up each morning, you can't wait to hit the road because you're living your life purpose. You know that your values are going to be honored because you're taking responsibility for that. You're in action, so you're not at the effect of the world letting it shut you down, but you're asking yourself, okay, to be abundant, what do I need to do to create abundance? What is the vehicle? How am I going to contribute my gifts to other people? If you want rich relationships, you're going to ask yourself, who am I being to attract rich relationships? Am I being loving or am I being angry? And then wondering why all these angry people are showing up in my life. So it's an entire umbrella where when you're living your life purpose, when you're honoring your values, when you're clear about your vision and you're living that vision, you have a positive expectation for it to manifest. So you're self-motivated to do the things that will align with it coming about on purpose. You're in development, you have coaches, you have mastermind groups, you have people to support your vision, you're learning, you're growing, you're having fun, and you're enjoying the process, which is kind of the ribbon that goes around the whole thing. If you're not enjoying the process, then something's missing for you that needs to be put into place for you to live, honoring your values, and manifesting that life purpose. So that's a lot to give you in 5 minutes. But if you can replay this and just take one part at a time, all of our programs show you exactly how to do each of those things, like painting by numbers or connecting the dots. So it's not hard. If I could do it, anyone can do it, because I was deeply resigned. I was dead. And so now my company, which is the Center for Personal Reinvention, CPR, brings people back to life. Wow, so that's what our commitment is.
That's brilliant. I didn't get that before. That's A. And I love that. I think that I run my own company. I know a lot of people that run their own companies, and I think a lot of people make goals, long-term, medium, short-term, for their businesses. Mm-hmm. But I don't think many people make them for their lives.
Right.
Do they? And I love that bit about values. Again, I don't think a lot of people sit down and think, what are my values in life? What actually is important to me? I was just listening to you thinking in my own head, do I know what my values are? I do. Family, love, honesty, happiness, obviously. But I think a lot of people don't, they just kind of amble through life, don't they? And they don't actually stop and think, what is it? Where am I going? What do I want? What do I want to contribute? Like you say, that's awesome. I properly could sit here and listen to you for hours. Okay, so where do people find you? Website, access to things? How do we find you?
Well, let me offer everyone a series of gifts, first of all. And if you go to SelfEsteemSystem.com, all one word, SelfEsteemSystem.com, you'll receive 7 mini course lessons, all with the principle and exercises to help you manifest that principle into your life, to elevate your self-esteem and to start to live deliberately. You'll get a 45-minute audio called 7 Steps to Soaring Self-Esteem. And about 2 or 3 weeks into the program, you'll receive an hour-long video that I did for public television called The #1 Secret to Success and Happiness in Life, that goes into even more detail. So you would have developed a foundation by that time so you could appreciate it better. SelfEsteemSystem.com. If you'd like to see all of our programs, you can go to www.cprsuccess.com, cprsuccess.com. And one more challenge. As I told you, well, maybe I didn't tell you, part of my vision is to impact the lives of 20 million children and 20 million adults. And I'm clear that I can't do it alone. So my company, the Center for Personal Reinvention, has created certification programs. 2 of them are particularly close and dear to my heart. www.highselfesteemkids.com and highselfesteemadults.com. These programs certify people who want to learn these same principles to impact the lives of the kids and their families, the adults that they know, or to go and make a living doing what I do, spreading the word and teaching people how to live deliberately with high self-esteem and making their lives work optimally. So highselfesteemkids.com, highselfesteemadults.com. There are gifts on both of those sites as well, just to thank you for visiting. And I would challenge you that if this resonates with you, join our team of light bearers, because I can't do it alone. There are many people out there who are doing their best to shift this culture, to elevate the role of humanity, because we're going in the wrong direction in so many ways. And so we need your help. If not you, who? So join our team of light bearers, spread the word. Before you know it, like a fire that is spread from one candle to another, it will spread and soon will become the prominent way to see things in the world. And that's part of my vision.
Yeah, me too. Brilliant. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining me.
Welcome, Joe. Thank you for having me. Thank you to all of our viewers.
It's awesome. Thank you so much. And if you didn't get to write down any of the website addresses, they'll all be on the end of this video. So just keep watching and you'll get them all there. Joe, thank you so much for joining me. And I will see you again on the next interview. Bye.